In the meantime, let's get started. So, first things first, hello everyone, and welcome to this masterclass on growing your EdTech business organized by MyOperator and LeadSquared. And to get started with this webinar, I'll just let you know how we are progressing with it. So, first of all, we'll have an interaction with these speakers, followed by a Q&A round wherein all the audience here can ask their questions to either of the speakers or both of them at the same time. You can keep dropping in your questions in the chat box and we will pick them up one by one once the Q&A session starts. So to begin with, let me first introduce you all to our speakers for the day. Firstly, we have with us Rimjim Ray. She is the Vice President of Marketing for MyOperator. She's a serial entrepreneur who earlier co-founded Sportal.ai, India's first AI-powered career platform for millennials. Rimjim is an angel investor and board member at School EdTech startup called Wise Owl Learning. She's also the national president of Wiki Angel Investing Council, as well as NASCOM community board member. And the next person here, Vineet, he is the AVP of Sales, Mr. Vineet Kumar Tiwari. He has a total of 15 years of experience working in fintech, telecom, and software domains. Vineet is a sales professional by choice, and as he likes to put it, he's a problem solver by passion. Working in diverse industries has actually given him a broader understanding of all the challenges in the selling process, the approach, and the method to solve them. And with that, I guess he's one of the best salespeople you'll find out there. So I welcome you both, Rimjim and Vineet, to the discussion today, and we'll be looking forward to your insights about the EdTech industry, about growing it in this masterclass.
Thanks, Anand.
So I'll just get started with the questions first of all. We'll start with a very, let's say, generic question to get things started. When things got back to normal earlier this year, I would say now we can safely say things are kind of back to normal. Whoever had to settle wherever they are in that space. The edtech industry boom has been experiencing a little bit of slowdown, and of late we see all the bigger names either going into a slump or probably, cutting down the cost, whatnot. Challenges like schools reopening, offline coaching, catching up to speed, then intense competition, the rising cost, as well as the investment pressures, due to the funding winter that we have seen. All of that is adding a very gloomy sentiment to the whole picture. However, businesses want to overcome these challenges. So we would like to know from you both, we can start with Vineet over here, that how does Lead Squad and MyOperator assist businesses to overcome this slump, as we can call it?
Thanks a lot, Sanat, for having me here and like giving this opportunity. And we'll start with the exact sentiment that you use. That it's like across this ecosystem, there is a gloomy sentiment because the costs are increasing. There are a lot of news about the layoffs, about the optimization of cost, like this entire ecosystem. I mean, edutech ecosystem. If you would have observed, like last 3 years has been a wave where everybody ride it, and now I think it is the crest. It's not the tough. So the crest is on now, and no, there are things like unlikely we thought of are happening actually. Now to just to understand this now. We are asked, I mean, all the edutech organizations are asked to kind of either optimize cost or improve the efficiency, or you have to look at the new revenue streams, right? I mean, like these are some of the asks that investors, the board members, or even the organizations themselves are like putting these 3-4 questions in front of them. It's because if they have to survive, these 3 matrices has to be kind of corrected.
Mm-hmm.
From a system perspective now, whether it is LeadSquared or say an integrated solution like LeadSquared and MyOperator, we can definitely, and we are helping organizations to set up the process, to map and manage the processes, to bring in efficiency into these into these process, to reduce the customer acquisition cost, to improve the productivity of the employees, as to just give you an example. So edutech system is mostly B2C, it's like B2C centric. So a large set of data, it's like get processed on a daily basis. Now, if you have a system like LeadSquared, as a CRM or MyOperator, as a telephony, it's like this large data set can be sorted out for the uses of the agents, for the people who are going to work on this data set, and then it can be bucketed into views where the users are going to see only the relevant actionable data. So this helps in improving their performance as well. So these are some of the sets which we can kind of offer, and that can help in terms of improving the efficiency and the productivity of the people, and hence it will reduce the cost of the customer acquisition, and will kind of lead towards the optimization of the cost and the profitability.
Definitely. Rimjim, what's your take on that? And definitely would like to hear how your system, MyOperator, is cutting down on these costs and improving the productivity.
Right. Even before I get into, how a LeadSquared or a MyOperator helps EdTech, I think, and I just want to talk a little about the EdTech challenges because, I've been a founder, even now I'm invested, in companies which are operating in EdTech, and talk with, founders on a daily basis. And of course, we also talk with the larger players, service players in the ecosystem. But for me, there are three top challenges, among everything else, I just did it down. One is, inbound cost, marketing costs themselves rising. Digital costs have really gone up during COVID times because there was a lot more fight for for the digital currency. There are a lot more people advertising online with COVID things moving online at a very high pace. Inbound marketing, media costs, publisher costs have really gone up. So that means your marketing cost has gone up and your cost of customer acquisition has gone up. Right. Which is, I think problem number one. Problem number two, the entire customer experience again changing post-COVID. So during COVID, a lot of startups kind of invented for an online first world. And they were right, that time needed that innovation. After COVID, there was a lot of prediction that, people might stick to older routines or older habits. It has not been really completely true for education because children, K-12 segment, mostly gone back to school. And kids love the offline experience, mingling with others. And very different from us, right? We don't want to go to office, but kids love to go to school because of the entire, the interactions, the life companionship, all of those factors. Other than, of course, the very strong physical experience that children desire. Now, with kids wanting to go back to school, then what do EdTech, which have invested heavily into online experiences, how do they reinvent? How do they kind of make sure that right now when children want to go back offline, they've had a taste of online. It's not that they've completely moved. That online is not something. It's not a habit that they've not acquired at all. But how can they kind of bridge this to give a hybrid experience? Some companies like Byju's have tried. You see Byju's acquiring Akash. It's the world of the reverse acquisition right now. So online players are, acquiring larger established offline players, plus also inventing themselves. So coming up with Byju's tuition centers, for example. But can all companies do that? Or how do you even make this a very 360-degree interactive experience? Which, at least in the K-12 segment, which is the largest segment, in India's EdTech landscape, how you give that kind of an experience. Third is because this experience is failing, this experience is breaking down, the customer retention have gone down. So you see, it's kind of it's going around in loop. You bring customers spending a high amount of dollars, you cannot give them the experience that they're looking for. They move off the platform. Your retention is low, so that means your customer lifetime value is not justifying the amount of dollars you have put in to acquire those customers. And now you're again kind of trying to play a retention game, which you're kind of which many EdTechs are failing at. Now, unless these three things kind of work together, you find out a good, and these three I think work in tandem. Right? So there are a lot of factors affecting each of these things, but they work in tandem. Your user experience goes better, obviously retention goes better, your customer lifetime value goes better, your profitability graph starts looking better. Now, if these are the three core problems that we have to solve for, then how does MyOperator LeadSquared come into play here? I mean, not just MyOperator LeadSquared, any CRM or or a communication management platform, it has become a basic need. So I was at the My Captain office, last week at Bangalore. They raised funding, one of the fastest growing. They're not in K-12, they're in the reskilling space. So maybe to an extent that audience is still online, still likes learning online. But even then, they have now also got a very strong counseling team. It's not just chat or online or an online checkout. They realize that people are looking for composite experiences. They want to, they want to have so they have an integrated communication solution in place, so that these counselors can reach out to students. They can video conferencing. They're also doing offsites, etc. So that's how My Captain is solving this challenge of people looking for hybrid experiences. How does, obviously, if you have to understand customer and deliver these kind of experiences, and you have to basically make sure that you're managing a market budget, right? A CRM comes into picture, because you cannot endlessly keep going after new segments. You have to understand customers, retarget, remarket, do follow-ups, use referral programs to basically bring down your marketing dollars. Where a company like where obviously a CRM system which is made for education, like LeadSquared, come into picture. So I think for a composite system like a LeadSquared or MyOperator, we're playing a role, with the CRM communication platform. We are playing a role in solving each of these three problems. So for instance, if Google or Facebook or your regular publishers are charging more, can you look at lower cost, lower acquisition cost channels? So for example, SMS, right? Or even call-based marketing. These are things we have probably sneakered upon among the COVID. Post-COVID, they've again become glamorous, because you realize you're going to endlessly keep feeding the metas of the world. You need to own your customers. Then how do you give them an integrated experience? So you understand your customers better with a CRM solution. You have a 360 communication platform, integrating call, WhatsApp, say video, SMS, and then of course their own offline experiences to give them a composite experience. And third, with the CRM call management thing in place, making sure that you're regularly in touch with the customers. Again, one of the mistakes that some EdTech players have made, and I can say there is some amount of kind of authority with us, not just as an investor, but also as a mom. I've got a 7-year-old daughter, and she has been taking some EdTech classes. I realized that once the initial onboarding was done, the company just let us go. There were no follow-ups, nothing, and at the end of the day, obviously it seemed that they're not interested in retaining us. But this is where, if you have a call management platform, a CRM platform, understand the level of engagement that that the parents or the children have with the system, basis that you modify your communication, reach out to them, follow up with them, then you build an entire retention pipeline. So if you solve these three problems, you start solving, obviously your cost of acquisition comes down, your retention goes higher, lifetime value starts increasing, overall profitability rises, and hopefully, EdTech gets back the sheen that it had during COVID times.
That's actually fairly put, and I do feel that EdTechs ke liye this complaint has always been coming, that once onboarding's done, then these people have not shown that interest in retaining or keeping the client as they used to show while during the sales. So I'll come to that part, but before that, I'll ask you both a major question that will encompass this probably, is that since you both talked about the increasing customer acquisition cost, I'd like to know that since we are ending 2022 and we are stepping into the next year, what has worked so far in this year for LeadSquared and MyOperator to determine that EdTech ke liye, what will be the best marketing channel that will serve them in the most fruitful ways? What has worked so far, and what will be the upcoming top marketing channel for 2023? Vineet, would you please
Sure.
answer this first?
Yeah, I mean, so this is very interesting. I mean, Rimjim, like just now mentioned also, and she like mentioned it beautifully that it's like during the COVID, the cost, digital, cost basically, the digital currency was in hot demand. Like everybody, your spend, every organization spend on the digital channels had kind of grown up, say, 7 to 10 times, which was okay before 2020. Now the cost of acquisition also kind of it's like grows up in the same intensity, but the revenue that you are generating through that customer, your fees is not it's like increased to 7 times or 10 times, right? But your spend is increasing. Right. Now the cost of marketing basically to acquire a customer has increased 7-8 times. The customer that I'm acquiring, and it's like that could be okay. It's like one of the reasons that why it's like once onboarded, as you mentioned, the focus is again on new onboarding, okay, rather than like retaining and like understanding the like life cycle value of that particular customer who is onboarded. So if the cost of marketing is increasing, I mean digital channels are increased, the first and the foremost, I mean like most important thing now for every organization is like how do we optimize onto this cost. Now since it's like edutech is okay digital heavy, it's not possible to go away from digital channels, right? Because like most of the students, their parents who are there, or in fact, if it is so apart from the K-12, the other edutech, I mean service provider, if you are say a preparation center like online, or if you are offering courses for data science or for the advanced courses like this, then these like audience are basically it's like digital savvy or kind of tech savvy, so they are available either on laptop or on mobile. It means the channels for advertisement for you like largely are the channels which are available onto these two women platforms or three platforms. Now if my spend is X and I know that it's like I would be able to generate say 100 inquiries in that X amount, if I have to like bring value to it, if my conversion from these 100 inquiries is 10%, I will try to make it 30%. Then this whole maths will kind of work out for me. I will not be completely able to cut down my cost of marketing on these digital channels, but what I can do, like I can improve the conversion. I can also leverage on affiliate marketing, on to like referral marketing side, where the cost of marketing or the cost of customer acquisition would be like little lesser, and also it increases the reach. So with it's like I have been in conversation with it's like one of the edtech companies based out of Bangalore, and we had a discussion about that the Facebook leads are it's like quite expensive, like same is the AdWords. How do we support them in terms of if they have to create a channel of affiliates or like referrals. So this discussion is like led into a kind of a like conclusion that if you have if you have the channel or the network of affiliate or like people who can help you with providing the inquiries at a lower cost, the cost of acquisition of the customer will automatically slow down. And LeadSquared, or MyOperator as a platform can support from a technology perspective to map and manage this process completely.
All right.
So coming trend, if you see, I mean, 2023, I think affiliate marketing, and also if you did been seeing, there's a lot of edutechs are also kind of getting integrated to the colleges, to the universities, to leverage the reach they have, to ensure that the cost of acquisition and the distribution of their content is rich, and it is to the larger audience.
Understood.
So these are some of the strategies which I think most of the edutechs have started adapting to, and this is going to help basically also to like revive and come out of this gloomy it's like gloomy
slump that we are talking about, right?
We have today.
So how about you, Ranjan? How do you feel like affiliate marketing, referral, a few big words Vineet has put up. So what are your thoughts on this idea? Which marketing channels?
Yeah, so affiliate and referral definitely, but also I think there's a very strong use case for outbound marketing. While in inbound marketing, the cost has certainly shot up. This is where I think outbound marketing is something that that edtech companies can definitely experiment. When I say outbound marketing, it would be first exploring channels such as WhatsApp or SMS, or even outbound calls. While these kind of sound less glamorous as compared to your Meta ads or Google ads, more cost effective and they might even give you a better ROI. It's basically you building your database over time. You acquiring that database, marketing combination working for you. With especially for larger edtech sizes, it's not just a marketing game; it's a marketing plus sales game. And well, again, there are kind of certain consternation here, because often edtech has been oversold. Of course, those factors have to be taken care of. But if you have the right education counselors, edtech way, again, you have to take you have to probably take more mid-term or long-term value than just a short-term value. You have to be basically invested in the career of the child, or the education of the child that you are, because finally education. We've added technology to it, but we can't expect it to suddenly work like crypto. It's education at the end of the day. Education is slow, education is impactful. And most edtech, well, of course, I do not want to generalize. I'm sure there are a lot of participants in the webinar out here who are building very impactful edtech, but somewhere that impact game had been lost. So even if you say, when I say sales, I don't want it to, it's not the usual sales that you would probably have if you're trying to sell a piece of software. You have to basically have educational counselors. I saw a very good approach in, again, a Bangalore-based startup, and plus, of course, I've invested in a school edtech startup which totally completely works on the principles of on impact, in the way they've made the curriculum. They have the marketing channels, but they also have a very strong network of educational counselors who can reach out to parents or who can reach out to prospective students. So it's as I said, it's a marketing sales or a marketing educational counseling combo that is working for them, which is keeping the entire overall cost low. Counseling, if done right, can definitely accelerate your customer acquisition. Parents are becoming, obviously, now with so many options available. Parents or even prospective students, for the older students market or the reskilling market, they're definitely getting more. They're definitely getting choosier. So that sales marketing loop has to be closed. Outbound is a good channel. Referral, again, so referral. I'm a big fan of referral, and we have built a lot of been kind of involved in building a lot of viral referral mechanisms. At the end of the day, it all comes down to user experience. People will only refer you if they genuinely love your product, no matter what what rewards you're giving to them. Because let's think about it psychologically. I might if you're giving me 50 rupees more, will I reference something which has which I have had a poor experience with? Because when you're referring, your own reputation gets tied to it. So if your customer experience is solid, and then you can build a very gamified referral mechanism on top of it, then referral can then work. But you have to first, to get referral right, you have to get an initial, it's kind of, you have to get the initial meet in first. You need to have an initial large enough customer base, happy customer base. That's why, for an education institute or an edtech institute, very important that you track your NPS. If you do not know your NPS, please go back to your drawing board and find out your NPS. The NPS would be Net Promoter Score. How many of your parents are really ready, or your students are ready to refer you? Calculate your NPS first. Based on that, take a decision whether you want to do referral now, or a year down the line, you fix some of your more fundamental problems first. Fourth is, we talked about outbound, we talked about referral, we talked about a sales marketing combo. Fourth, I think remarketing really works in education. That oftentimes people might sign up and they might, most edtechs have a freemium model. So they might, come and consume some, if a good content, they might consume some content, they might not, they might defer the purchasing decision. So here re-engagement, where, again, a CRM communication platform really helps in, when working out that entire remarketing re-engagement model. That helps because then you have spent your money once in getting those customers to sign up for you. So again, a freemium model would work better there, because that also keeps the CPA low. You will be getting interested students without spending a large number of dollars, because upfront you're not asking them to buy anything. You're probably giving them free content or maybe a very basic subscription. But then you can upgrade them through a re-engagement remarketing model. I think these four things, these would be smarter ways. And you can obviously, it's not that you can completely escape the inbound marketing cost, but the smarter conversion tactics can at least keep it down to a manageable limit.
That's fair, and that's actually a good thing. The remarketing bit, I like that, because I do visit websites. I do not purchase immediately, but I'm just rummaging around the content, and there are times when I like the content a lot. So I then keep visiting that website, and maybe down the line, if I feel the need, I can purchase that sort of product from that website itself and not go to the competitors. I'll take up 2 minutes in this webinar to ask a sub question to this. Since you highlighted 4 points, both of you included. So a fifth channel, it's not really a marketing channel, but what you mentioned earlier, that customer retention is something that is not really happening. So no upselling, because we are onboarding people, but we are letting them go after their initial month is over and whatnot. So do you both, let's start with you again, Vineet. Do you believe that customer retention and upselling after onboarding a customer, increasing their lifetime value, that also should be looked upon as a growth channel, sales channel?
Yes, I mean, Sanad, of course. I mean, this is one of the strongest channel. I mean, rather, I would say. See, like other channels are it to onboard a new customer, basically, whether it is through a referral or through digital channels. Now you have a customer. You already have a customer who has trusted you and your product and services, right? If you are able to pass on a great like experience to that customer through our product, through our services, he is the one who is going to be the advocate of your product and services, right?
Right.
And at the same time, if okay, there are opportunities where the organization can build an engine to understand that his requirement in future or his son's requirement in future. Say if it is equated, if I have a like kid who is studying in, say, I mean, 7th class, so 1 year it will be like tuitions about the courses. After that, in 10th class there can be something else, in 12th class there can be something else. So this can be a build over, and it is always like cheaper from a cost perspective and advisable as well, that if you're able to retain a customer, the value that we get out of that customer in, say, in a span of like 4 year, 5 year, 10 years, depending upon the tenure that he can be served to by us, it will always be higher than uh, than the customer that we onboard for a new product or services. So this okay, retention is a great game changer actually, and a lot of organizations have now started focusing on this also. It's because like most of the organization have kind of realized that if you're able to retain the customer, it will help them to build the business in the most strengthened way.
Fairly put. So now that, Ranjan, we have established that from the sales perspective, that this is one of the best ways to generate revenue and should be done instead of being an option. How do we materialize it from marketing perspective? How do we retain customers using marketing then?
Well, I think retention is it's beyond marketing. It's an entire user experience. So it's how good your product is, how good your content is, how good your how good your counselors are, how much value you're able to add to this person. It's a composite experience. Retention, obviously you can have re-engagement content throughout the user journey. You could keep you have various strategies like interactive emails, WhatsApp, SMSs, which keeps the person engaged. Comes at the second stage, comes at for me, that's a level 2 thing. My level 1 problem is my entire product experience, my entire platform experience. And there again, I guess I'll use one word: impact. How much impact are you able to create in that student's life? You're promising that so a reskilling student come to you for reskilling. You're promising that at the end of this they're able to become a data science expert. Are really able to kind of deliver on that promise? Then he will come back to you for AI also. He might also come back to you for blockchain. If you're not able to fulfill that promise, no matter what you do in terms of marketing, sales, etc., you've already lost it. Second, from a marketing perspective, yes, this is again how you engage, keep your customers engaged. So right now, we often talk about this toothbrush test for your apps. If your customers do not need your app every day, like you need a toothbrush every day, or of course, not all apps need to be used every day, but in an EdTech app, you think that at least for the period of student is studying, it's something that you'd be open almost every day. If they're not coming back to your app every day, then there's something wrong, and I've already probably started losing it. This is where notifications play a very important role, right? And it's this where you define your entire notification journey, how you keep re-engaging a customer. So one is you establish product value, and second, how do you make sure that the person is experiencing the value? So where notification and gamification, I think, plays a very important role. So a gamification thing would be, so students' attention span is limited, and we've all been students. We know this, right? It's very difficult to keep a student engaged. But can you then develop the gamification mechanism? So for each activity that the student performs on the portal, you give him points, you make him compete with others. You make sure that you're sending out notifications with, say, leaderboard positions. You are giving the FOMO, the fear of missing out challenge again. So say if you have a social login or a collab, you are building education communities on your app. If you have a community, and again, you should be aiming at building education communities. This is where classrooms, traditional classrooms, ACE EdTech companies, classrooms are able to build communities. Why do children want to go back to classroom and don't want to come back to your app? Because on the app, they miss the community. It's just a bi-directional thing. There's a counselor, there's a student, there's no one else. They're able to build that community thing, but with building social-based learning, then you're able to again take and build a gamification layer on top of it. And you can have friendly competitions that are being played online. You could have students talk to each other. You could have peer-based learning, and then of course that brings up the engagement level of your app. A student would want to come back to it, because it's not just a bi-direction. It's not just a video playing. Because the moment it's a video play, if you see for education, EdTech companies, even if you look at Udemy stats, right? People, kind of logging, not logging back after watching 1 or 2 videos is extremely high. And this is Udemy, one of the largest, probably the largest EdTech company out there. They will give you the stats that the student retention is extremely poor. How many of us have bought courses online, never to maybe you've done the first 1 or 2 videos and never gone back? And what have the companies done to get us back? Precious little maybe.
Probably.
If you're on the other hand, if you think a community first, gamification first approach, you're thinking a student first approach, you'll probably think through these problems, first, and then you'll be solving for them. So this is where marketing, in terms of designing content, in terms of designing gamification strategies, in terms of building the stickiness, this is where product marketing has to work together. But if you're not already, because there are a lot of EdTech, kind of representatives or even leaders or founders out there in this, presentation, this is something again. Obviously, every one of you are solving the problem differently, but you're not already started thinking retention and community and how to engage people. Please start doing that. Your children, and think of the classroom example. Children want to go back to the classroom because there's a community there. If they're not coming back to you, what are you doing to solve that? What are you doing to make your online classroom interesting? So
that sounds
that will
very
answer
insightful. And that's very insightful. And talking about the audience itself, a lot of people, I'm assuming here, would be willing to, they would have decided 2023 will be the year where they're going to scale up. And one of the major, it's not really a problem per se, but one of the major features of online businesses is that they get a lot of leads. The moment you put in money, the moment you want to scale up, you will get a big influx of leads. And I know LeadSquared is, as the name suggests itself, it will help you manage your leads. Same applies to MyOperator, that it will help you engage those leads. But still, after getting the leads, what next? There has to be a process that people have to implement. So I'd like to ask you both that what processes people should revisit before they take the step to upscale their business. They push the button that, yes, I'm willing to upscale now. What should they reconsider the processes before doing it? Ranjan, let's start with you this time.
I think, I've answered, this question in bits and pieces throughout, but I'll just probably sum up. Look at the processes that you look at. One is, as I said, customer acquisition, the way you are going about acquisition right now. Just push, you could probably do more than putting dollars in all the inbound marketing channels. Second would be the entire operations, So if you are, when you're thinking of operations, think like an education brand. First, an education brand, and second, a technology brand. And at the end of the day, as I said, what you're delivering, technology is an enabler for EdTech. Technology is not the end product.
Right.
Yeah, technology is important, extremely important. Otherwise, you wouldn't have, none of us would have existed, as in this businesses wouldn't have existed. but it's still the enabler. The end product is education, and then you have to probably mimic the operational, rigor that education institutes put in. How well your curriculum is designed, who are your counselors, if do you have the, are you able to give continuity to your students? When EdTech also has this problem of changing teachers, right? Teachers often change mid-curriculum, and then the students, obviously, they develop rapport with certain teachers. That's how education works. Education works on continuity. So, how well is your operational rigor? Take, cues from, I'd say real world colleges and institutes, which have been running for 10 or 20 or 30 plus years on this. And the third, again, this is something I've been talking about. Focus a lot on NPS. Are your customers happy? Are your students, are their parents happy? You can, keep on burning money as long as investor cash, last. You can, continue playing that game of acquisition. But if you really want to become profitable, you want to grow holistically, you want to become, you want to basically also stay invested in the future of your students, then retention and NPS, net promoter score, and retention is something that will help you win that battle.
That's really good. Now we need, coming from a sales manager, sales VP's point of view, tell us which processes should people focus on before the upscale?
See, 2-3 things. I would start with the challenges that like normally an edutech faces. So the first, let's start with, we started the conversation from the digital channels. Now, since it's like every organization, like every edutech organization, they generate their inquiries basically. So we are talking about again here like on the acquisition front. So they generate their inquiries through different channels. Now, okay, these channels can be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, okay, depending upon the channels they have adopted. So, like first problem which most of these edutechs or the organization faces to manage multiple channels and to ensure that the lead leakage is kind of zero. It's because if there is a leakage, if you have a leaky bucket and your generic inquiries flowing, not taking no follow up on time, this like leads to the loss of leads. So first problem that should be solved is there has to be a centralized system which is integrated to all the channels. So you ensure, I mean, first business problem that you solve is the leakage in those inquiries should be zero. The second is now, see, as a customer, and I faced this. I mean, it's like during the pandemic. So I have an 8-year-old son, and like he wanted to learn some French classes, it's like French language. So I inquired on one platform which I know I cannot take the name here, and I waited that somebody will call me. I filled the form. So I waited for I inquired in the morning, and then I waited that in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, some like call should happen. After that, I got engaged in my day, like routine task activities. Right. And then in the evening, after like calling it a day, I remember that still I haven't received the call. Then I searched another, service provider, and then I kind of fill in the form. And to my surprise, I was thinking that okay, I'll get a call maybe tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon if this like reaches to the right people. But to my surprise, I got a call in 15 minutes. Yeah. So now, first inquiry, I got a call after I think 36 or 38 hours. Second one, I got a call in like 15 minutes. So my it's like buying behavior was like 70% influenced by just reducing this turnaround time like by that organization. Right. After that, I had a conversation, understanding about like who are the teachers, the profile, everything, all that stuff. But then we figured out, and I started with like all the edutechs here, who are our customers, or it's like who are it's like kind of prospects, that the turnaround time. How do we ensure that once an inquiry is captured, the turnaround time to serve that inquiry, it should be brought down to 5, 10, 15 minutes. It's because today, I mean, it's like time is most important. If you're not able to fire your shots in time, probably it will go in vain, right? So second problem is like, how do we reduce the turnaround time? So as a process, I'll also not take a minute to define whether if it is an integrated solution of LeadSquared and MyOperator. So stitch solution, basically you generate inquiries, then it has to be distributed to the respective people immediately on real-time basis, and a call should go, right? So this can be done only if you have an integrated system which kind of captures inquiry, like push for the calling. Then the third point, of course, the most important point is, again, the the quality of the conversation.
Right.
If the counselor, if your counselors are good enough, if they understand that what is the language, what is the conversation, I mean, like how to have a kind of a meaningful conversation, if they're able to do all these things, the conversion happen. And if your product is good, see, I mean, these are all enablers, as I mentioned. It's like Rimjim also mentioned that these are, I mean, the technology, setup, process, all these are enablers. The like front and the foremost thing, if your product is good, if you're offering a good product, if you're able to pass on a good experience to the customer, then definitely these things, I mean, technology can help you to improve it, to improve the efficiency in the process, to improve the productivity of the people. All these things fall in place automatically by use of technology, if your product, if your people are good.
Right. Right. That's fairly put. So if I can sum it up, what matters is the 3 C's in EdTech business, that is content, counseling, and community, as Rimjim has highlighted earlier. So, asking you guys specific questions about LeadSquared and MyOperator now, Rimjim, just tell us, being a communication platform and a facilitator for all the outbound marketing that you have mentioned, a lot of community building in that involved, as well as the retention part where existing customers need to be called through SMSs. They need to be reminded that they can do much more. How does MyOperator, or how can MyOperator help our audience here as well as overall EdTech space in improving?
So, you summed it up when you said it's a counseling communication, it's community thing.
Content, counseling, and community.
Content, yeah. So content, communication, probably, go community, all
Right.
of these. The glue that is building all of these together is communication, right? You need to communicate with your students. And that is from the point, from the point that you're acquiring the student, or even before you're acquiring the student, reaching out to a prospective audience, to the point that, that customer, that he has onboarded, he's taking classes with you, and he's, kind of passing through probably various phases with you. Communication is what binds him to your platform, because this is, I mean, whether it's online or offline, your primary engagement with the customers is through the way how you communicate with them. This is where, communication, a 360-degree communication platform really plays a key role. So I mean, kind of, if I let me divide the phases of a customer's life into 3 parts. One is before he is onboarding. What is the experience? So you've reached out to him, it's probably a lead that you have got, through any of inbound or outbound marketing channels. Then you're engaging with this person through a relationship manager who is able to explain the value of your product. There are multiple follow-ups, how you're structuring that entire communication, the pre-buying phase communication. And then you have a 360-degree, interaction through WhatsApp, through SMS, through probably outbound call dialing. All of these things are basically keeping this person engaged in the pre-buying stage. And obviously this is an art as well as a science, how strongly or how closely you schedule your follow-ups, what is the value you're delivering even before he has joined your platform. That's in pre-buying. Now this person decides to pay. He's become your customer. Great, congratulations. Now how smooth your post-onboarding experience is. Again, communication plays a key role there. And then there could be things like, for example, as part of his pre or post onboarding journey, that could be onboarding mailers. There could definitely be human to human communication through through over phones, over maybe video chats. Plus, there could be automated demos, because this person has to understand how your system works, right? He or she would be navigating your system. So then, how you make that post onboarding communication very smooth, so that your new student is able to experience the platform. Again, this is where you need a communication platform whether you use a MyOperator or any other communication platform, you should have the right tools to understand, to make sure that the calls or the SMSs or the other interactions are going to him on time. Second, you exactly know what are the conversations. So let's say, and you often see this discontinuity in EdTech, and I said, and in response to one of your questions, that I'm also the mother to a 7-year-old daughter, and I've seen, she's been taking classes in EdTech. Some of the part experience has been good, but I've seen a lot of discontinuity. So one counselor suddenly calls me and he starts talking, and then I realized that he doesn't have a conversation history at all about what I have been communicating so far about my child. And for me, as a parent, that's a big letdown. Would it happen in a traditional school, right? Schools are very particular about this. There's continuity there. But here,
Right.
but of course, in EdTech, you cannot always have this, EdTech, of course, there's a lot of flux, and you understand that. But, what you cannot probably, if you have a human problem, you solve it with technology. Have something as basic as call tracking and call recording, so that even if you are handing this case to another counselor, this person knows what are the conversations. You shouldn't go to the parent or the student and with a blank state. So that continuity has to be there. And then, of course, there are ongoing student care. We work with some large unicorns like Physics Wall, etc., and we see that the best of EdTech have mastered the art of student care. The way that they deliver student support over call or over other channels, say over chat or over WhatsApp, that's kind of almost spotless. So this is where that you have a strong, you invest in building up a student contact center. Students will have queries, and not all queries can be just can be answered by just a chatbot. Of course, you should, if you want, you can invest in a chatbot, and our APIs definitely integrate with a lot of chat-based solutions. But at the end of the day, how much of a human interaction you're able to give them, how much you're able to answer the queries at the point that they have those queries raised, how real time you are, in answering student doubts, that probably sets you apart from maybe 5 other EdTechs which are not doing as well. Because
Right.
as I said, if I have my exam tomorrow, that's a real life crisis for me. That's a huge crisis for me. If I'm walking in, if I had a real world tutor, I would have had access to him. I'd have called him up, or I might have gone to his house. I would have taken notes. In absence of that, in an EdTech, when I'm basically dealing with virtual people, I'm dealing with a virtual platform. The next best thing that can simulate the same experience could be a very strong student call center, student contact center that is able to answer students' questions on time.
Fairly good.
So pre-buying, post-buying, and an ongoing ongoing student contact center. These are the 3 important aspects of communication that any EdTech or an education brand focuses on. As I said, you invest in a good communication platform,
Right. That is where MyOperator can, definitely be of use to them. That's actually fairly put, and Vinny, now talking about LeadSquared. See, as soon as a lead is generated, you have it in your name, so it's pretty easy to understand there. As soon as a lead is generated, to the upselling part, to qualifying them, engaging them, and even as you mentioned, the continuity, the keeping track of whatever has happened so far. I believe all of that is the role of a CRM. So please elaborate on that and just let our audience know how can they make use of LeadSquared to improve their business.
Sure. So as you mentioned at the beginning of it, that it's like as in when an inquiry get captured, after that, okay, LeadSquared functionality starts. So from capturing all these inquiries from different sources to processing it. Now, in EdTech environment, it is a B2C ecosystem, right? So you see that like millions of records, or say like hundreds of thousands of inquiries get captured on a daily or a monthly or a kind of yearly basis, and like largely like most of the EdTech, they operate on a large data set. Now, though the number of counselors, I mean, it is not possible to increase the number of counselors to that level. I mean, every EdTech cannot have like hundreds and thousands of counselors to cater to those data sets. Now, the system should be intelligent to tell you that these are some of the inquiries like on which the agents or the counselors have to work. The first thing, and I'm talking here about the lead quality parameters basically. Now, for different organizations, different sources, it may happen that different sources work out well. For some organization, the inquiry generated from Facebook ads are it's like more convertible. For some organizations, the inquiry generated from say Insta or some other sources are more viable. So how do we understand that? It is the system that tells us that okay, like these many inquiries we have generated from these sources distributed to the agents, and finally is the conversion, and this is the revenue generated. Now, how do we ensure that this happens? So first is, once an inquiry is captured, we run a kind of qualifying criteria. We should also should understand that okay, it's like out of 1,000 leads, like which are the hundreds where our energy and efficiency should be kind of okay, put on, our investment of
Definitely.
time should go on.
Definitely.
If we are able to understand that, then like automatically the conversion will increase automatically. It's because we know that our energy and our focus should be onto these 100 or these 1,000 inquiries that has come from these three different sources. So LeadSquared can help you basically to set up a filter or to set up quality parameter that defines coming from these sources, if from these cities or these subject lines, or these are the traits. So basis the traits of those inquiries, we'll be able to ascertain a quality score. Now, once like certain quality is kind of established, it moves to the funnel. So automatically then after that the calling process happens, and those things are there. uh, it is mapped already, and basis that, now how do you ensure that the conversation which is happening has some like context? If say I have inquired from okay, one channel today, and then again after a month I inquired from a different channel. So there should be a kind of uh, like some intelligence or some activity posted against me on a customer 360-degree, which shows that beneath is already there. He has inquired, he has been okay contacted, he has been in okay conversation with, he has inquired for this particular product, or he has inquired for this particular course. So the counselor would be able to build a rapport, to have a kind of a more meaningful conversation. So a platform like LeadSquared would be able, or any CRM should be able to provide these kind of intelligence to the counselors, to ensure that they are empowered to convert these inquiries.
Right.
Once the inquiry is converted, the customer is there, like he has been onboarded, as okay, like Rimjim mentioned, the post onboarding journey. So okay, what sort of like communication should be sent out, at what stages? So two sort of communication. Okay, one is the automated communication. Okay, that can happen okay basis certain triggers that you define and decide in the system, in the business. So LeadSquared is very much it's like able to handle those kind of okay communication through integrated solution with MyOperator, where we understand that okay, like these are the stages in the business flow, and from here, like hence onwards, the automated communication through either through a WhatsApp or an SMS, or through a mail should be sent out, or a calling has to be done. If customer is onboarded, like post onboarding, like what is there from a communication perspective in the second phase? Is it uh, is okay? It's like, do you want to run kind of a feedback mechanism to understand the customer is happy or not? Or if you have an NPS scoring, if you can kind of take an NPS scoring, and if you could analyze that, that will help you definitely understand your customers are happy or not.
Right.
If you don't have an NPS score, then definitely you can create a feedback mechanism with like automated email or WhatsApp and SMS in that through link. Now the feedback is also sorted. Now basis that feedback, if you want to run a cross sell or an upsell engine, if there is a customer, he's happy customer, right? If a customer is happy, it means he is interested, and there is a trust in between the customer and the organization and the product and services I'm offering. So how do I leverage that trust further?
Right.
It's all about how do I okay maximize my like revenue by serving the customer.
Right.
So I would be able to build the cross-sell and the upsell engine on top of this. If I have a customer, it's like 360 degree, I understand that, okay, which courses, as mentioned, it's like today has come for data science. Okay, next can be a blockchain. The third course can be something else. So and it's like continuation of engagement can happen, and this will automatically increase the revenue for the organization. The retention of the customer will also increase here.
Right.
And
as well as people will
LeadSquared,
still remember
yeah.
you.
Yep.
Right, and that's very fair, and I guess all of these insights that you guys have given so far will be definitely helpful to all the audience present over here. And with that, I'll conclude the interaction with you guys from my end, but we'll definitely take a couple of questions that we have from the audience. So one of the members in the audience has asked to you, Rimjim, is MyOperator having auto dialer functionality and voice blasting, or I believe which is called call blasting functionality? That's for you.
Yes, yes, we do. So first let me talk about the product, and then let me talk about some disclaimers here. MyOperator has an entire campaign management suite, voice-based, SMS-based, even we're also introducing WhatsApp heavily in our portfolio very soon. But in terms of an SMS, voice, and the API integration, there's an entire campaign that you can manage on this platform. So when you have auto dialer or OBD campaigns, these are campaigns that you can reach, send out to customers. So when you talked about, your qualified leads in the system, right? So you have got, we've been talking about, so you have a freemium model, you have probably a lot of people signing up for your content. But then how do you convert them into ongoing users? So maybe you can run an offer for them. How do you send the offers to these people? A voice-based campaign is something, it's a very, kind of basic and a very simple, intuitive way of sending out offers to your customers. So you can trigger a voice-based campaign. This will auto call your customers or your prospective customers. No sales effort involved. It's completely automated, and they will broadcast the offer. They will dial the customer number and broadcast the offer. And then, of course, if a connection is made and the customer is interested in speaking further, then it can also connect to your sales team. So saving you time. Now, why did I give a disclaimer here? So obviously, you shouldn't be spamming your customers, right? And that is where strategy, that is where we also help you frame your strategy. When we are selling this product to you, we also, in our counsel or our consultants or our customer success consultants, we also help you frame your strategy so that you're not unnecessarily spamming your customers. You're basically giving them all the information that you're reaching out to the right customer with the right amount of information. Just use this right, and this is a very, very powerful mechanism. Plus, you integrate this with other solutions that we give you, for instance, missed calls or or SMS-based integrations, and then you have a composite 360-degree interaction that you can run for your customers, converting them from just leads to converted customers or deals.
Very good. Very good. That's an important disclaimer also that we should keep in mind, not to spam people. And the next question is actually a very elaborate one, but we'll just take, I guess, 2 minutes each, Vineet and Ranjan, to cover this up in a few sentences. That Arun has asked that how does EdTech impact the economic growth of India, in India rather, which I think is, as I said, a big question. But if you guys can sum it up in like a couple of sentences, Vineet, you just say something about it.
Yeah, I mean, so Arun, actually, I mean, this question would require a kind of 30 minutes.
A separate webinar, I guess.
A separate webinar, because this is though it's a great question. But yeah, I mean, see, I mean, EdTech is also basically imparting education. So education through the use of like technology. I mean, that's why it is called EdTech. Now, this education, it can be quite well. It can be for advanced courses. It can be for anything, right? Through technology, okay, it's like whatever education is being imparted. Now, if you're skilling somebody, if you're imparting say advanced education to somebody like who can get a job, or who can get a better job, or who is able to learn this skill, and then probably he can like contribute in an organization through his job, right? It means there is a transaction involved, and transaction is involved from all the sides. If you're helping a person to get better in terms of compensation, if you're helping a student to become a person who can get a job, So that person who gets a job, he will be it's like compensated, right? And then it's like that compensation, it's like money always is in the market. It is like returned back. If I get a
Right.
money, say if I get a salary, I have to spend that salary. There are bills to be paid, and if I don't have bills, okay, this money will find its way to create bills.
Right.
So money is always in circulation. If money is not in circulation, then it will not impact in growth. But if money is coming and it is okay circulated in the market, it will definitely kind of impact in the economic growth of India. It's because,
Right.
so I'll give you my example. I came to Bangalore. I did my MBA from here. I mean, like back then 2006-8, at the time, I mean, like EdTech concept was not fairly well. But yeah, I started my job here. I took an apartment, I took a car. It's like I have got some bills to be paid every month. It means this money is being contributed, right? I'm paying taxes as well.
Right.
So my taxes, my money, the salary, that the like circulation of money is happening across. So if you see from a 35,000 like high level overview, a helicopter view, it is just through enabling or through skilling up a person, we are trying to create an impact in the life of that person to get him better. And then it's like on the raw side of on the raw side of it, if you see, it is money that is circulating, and it's
Right.
like creating an impact in the economic growth.
Right. So that person is actually, going to be the carrier of that economic growth across the
Correct.
nation per se.
True.
Right. How do you look at it, Ranjim? Let's just quickly take
All
your
right,
view.
2 examples. I was up late night yesterday watching Argentina play, and I was rooting for Messi, because Argentina, if they had lost yesterday, they would have been out of the World Cup.
Okay.
Argentina's win obviously made me happy, up till around 3 a.m., just celebrating that win. Another thing made me happy. There was Byju's on the World Cup stadium walls. So as someone, who's grown up seeing Pepsi, Coke, maybe Microsoft, maybe, all this and all the made in West brands, it was actually a happy moment to see Byju's. So that's the kind of impact that we have created. We now have, made in India EdTech, basically going out there in the world and making their presence felt. That's kind of the biggest celebration of the Make in India thing that that we've been talking about for the last many years. Example one. Example two, I've said that I'm invested in a company called Wise Out Learning. These people have been started by two very dynamic women, and they are transforming schools, public schools. They're using technology to build public education infrastructure. I do not believe me. There are villages and towns whose names I've never heard of, where they've taken this technology. There are students out there in Sikkim, Mizoram, Nagaland. Generally northeastern states are not always aligned with the maybe the tech development that is happening in the metro cities. But these children are learning at par, performing at par. We've just done a hackathon, with across pan India, and the students of Northeast have given students from a lot of other metro cities, students from Northeast villages. I'm not even talking about Gangtok. I'm not even talking about a Dibrugarh or large cities in Assam or the Northeast. I'm talking about small villages, as I said, very beautiful names these villages have, Sasangpo and Rangpo, etc. But students from those villages coming at par and beating students in hackathons who are competing from larger cities like a Delhi, Mumbai, or a Calcutta. That I think is the power of EdTech. That is the power of technology, is democratizing opportunities. So students sitting in a village now can aspire to study what, say, an IIT Delhi offers, because IIT Delhi is able to broadcast courses to them, which might not have been possible without this, kind of technology acting as a glue. I think EdTech can play a very strong, there obviously have been some, there was an initial extreme high growth because of COVID. Well, of course, Byju's is not Byju's, or even if you look at Vedanta, if you look at the larger players, they've been, they're not, they have been there for some time. They've been there for 10, 15, 17 years. We had a high spurt, and that high spurt was always going to be not so sustainable. You always have a high spurt, and then you have a phase of stabilization. This phase of stabilization will see players which are using technology and which are invested in impact, which understand that education is an impact game, and they're able to combine that with technology. We think that I believe that this can play a huge role in transforming the next billion of, or next half a billion of internet users that are just coming online, like as I said, from the villages of Sikkim, or from your tier 2, tier 3 problems are probably already solved. Your tier 4 plus cities. That is where I think education will play a big role in India's next 10 years growth story.
Definitely, that sounds promising, and it's good to hear those examples. Definitely, Byju's is something that has been pretty much hosting all these, supporting all these.
Will feel good, even if you're not a
World
soccer
Cup
fan.
and
At
all of
least
that.
Byju's on the wall will make you feel good.
At least, yes,
As an Indian.
definitely, and definitely that somebody, people of India have seen always Pepsi and Coca-Cola over there. Seeing Byju's is definitely a big deal. Thank you so much, Vineet, Ranjim, for all the valuable insights that you have shared. I'm sure audience got a lot to learn from you guys. And thanks, audience, for raising questions, for being with us so far, listening to our guest speak. You will definitely get a recording of this session should you want to, look at it later and capture what you couldn't, during this period, so that you can gain maximum from it. Rereading, remarketing, as people, Ranjim said. So we'll be re-looking at this webinar once again and focusing on whatever Vineet and Ranjim told you. Might help you to scale up your EdTech startup business, or if you are a part of a bigger company, then probably simply improve your sales revenue, whichever department you are in the next year. So good hopes for the next year, and thank you so much, guys, for being a part of this webinar.
Yeah, just one line before we close. I think Vineet and I are both on LinkedIn, so do feel free to connect with us. I always, kind of personally, I can say I always enjoy connecting with EdTech founders or anyone working in education domain. They said, this is a game changer for India. If you want to, connect on LinkedIn, just feel free to do that. We'll be happy to take more questions.
If it is at all possible, Vineet and Ranjim, can you please drop in your LinkedIn links or username in the chat section?
Sure. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll just drop our
sure
links in the chat. Yeah.
That would be great.
I do not
have, because if you drop it in chat, I'm pretty sure that it will be visible in the recordings as well. So that will be it.
Okay.
Thanks everyone.
Yeah. Thank you.